Cleopatra was a queen with many stereotypes. Some say she was an evil character who got away with murder. Others say that she hypnotized men with her beauty, but we see a queen with great leadership skills and many talents.
Cleopatra was born during 69 BC in Alexandria, Egypt. As a child, she dealt with many family problems. Her family, the Greek Ptolemies, would often kill each other for different reasons, but mostly for power. Seeing these murders helped Cleopatra realize what she needed to do in order to take the throne.
At the age of 18, Cleopatra became the Queen of Egypt with her brother Ptolemy XIII, who was only 10 years old. Because of Egyptian customs, they were married to each other and would rule side by side on the throne.
Unfortunately, their partnership was damaged and Cleopatra was thrown out of Egypt. Then, her brother single-handedly took the throne.
Soon, Cleopatra heard that Julius Caesar was to arrive in Rome. Caesar was the most powerful man in Egypt, and he came to take Alexandria. Cleopatra seized this opportunity. She told her servants to roll her up in a carpet and carry her to Caesar, where she would then reveal herself to him.
This was the beginning of a love story. Caesar was 52 and Cleopatra was only 20. Many people think that it was Cleopatra's beauty that drew in Caesar, but it was her intelligence and personality that awed him.
Together, Cleopatra and Caesar ran into Alexandria and went to war with her brother, Ptolemy XIII. They ended up winning because Ptolemy drowned in the Nile River due to being weighed down by his heavy gold armor.
Cleopatra then took back the throne. Cleopatra and Caesar took a cruise on the Nile together, and they even had a baby named Ptolemy Caesar. This shocked the people of Rome, for Caesar already had a wife.
Ooh! Cleopatra and Caesar lived together in Rome when Caesar claimed Cleopatra to be a goddess. This upset the Romans so much that they declared death on Julius Caesar. He was then executed during the spring of 44 BC.
Caesar's will said that Octavian, his 18-year-old grandnephew, a man named Mark Antony, and Marcus Lepidus would rule Rome together.
Unfortunately, this partnership began to deteriorate, and Octavian forces took Lepidus' territory. Mark Antony, scared to be the next victim of Octavian, fled to Cleopatra for help. They met on a royal boat with servants giving them anything they wanted.
They fell in love at first sight. They shared interests in politics, and Cleopatra told Antony that she not only speaks her birth language, Greek, but also learned how to speak Egyptian to easily rule. She also shared how she got Alexandria out of one of its worst depressions. She was indeed one great ruler.
They soon had 3 children who ruled alongside the throne. Antony and Cleopatra were truly a power couple.
Unfortunately, Octavian would not have this. He wanted Egypt to himself, and he would not stop fighting until it was his. On September 2nd, war began.
Cleopatra's and Mark Antony's army lined up on their ships, getting ready to have war against Octavian at sea. Their problem was that during the war, Cleopatra took a ship away to avoid the battle. Antony gave up, and then he followed Cleopatra, only to find that their force was losing, which made them surrender to Octavian.
Egypt was greatly doomed, for when Cleopatra returned from avoiding the war, she found out that Antony went out looking for her. Cleopatra was greatly depressed that Antony was gone.
As Octavian forces marched over, Cleopatra used her clever brain to come up with a spectacular plan. She would make herself a huge tomb filled with riches, and she would live there for the rest of her days. Only her servants would know where she was. The rest of the world would think she was dead.
Antony soon returned back to Egypt with no success of finding Cleopatra. When he heard she was dead, he knew he had nothing to live for, so he stabbed himself with his sword.
Once the servants saw and heard that Antony was dead, they reported to Cleopatra immediately, carrying Antony's dead body to her. Cleopatra was filled with regret.
Knowing Cleopatra, she was not going to let Octavian beat her. Cleopatra locked herself in her tomb with 3 other servants, and she put a snake to her body. The snake bit her, and as the venom sank in, Cleopatra died.
Cleopatra is thought to be just another pretty face in history. Not many people really know of how intelligent she really was.
The same concept applies to Marilyn Monroe. She was perceived as a dumb blonde, even though she had an IQ of 168, which was 4 higher than Albert Einstein's.
Both characters had their intelligence overlooked by the world, which is too focused on their beauty and appearance.
In modern day, Cleopatra is perceived to be a cruel, seducing, and flamboyant person. An example is from Katy Perry's Dark Horse music video.
Cleopatra was a spectacular leader with a very strategic and clever mind. Throughout her life, she had many difficulties, but she always managed to push through.
She held her head high through numerous deaths and defeats. Cleopatra is definitely a legacy to remember.